Can you please tell us a little about yourself?
My name is Jan Coplan. I am the Senior Director of Employer Relations and Career Connections at Landmark College. I've been connected with Landmark as far as in the realms of faculty, serving as a summer high school program faculty, and then over the last 8 years, involved with Landmark as the Director of Career Connections. Landmark College is a very unique institution, incredibly small. And when I say small, we're typically have an enrollment of 450, 430 students. At one point we had 500, but we felt like that could water down the model. And what is unique about us, besides our size and the fact that we're nestled in Putney, Vermont, is that we, all of our students have some sort of learning difference.
Now can you please tell us more about Landmark College and its unique model?
So what I appreciate about the Landmark model is how well we know our students and the robust advising and faculty, and that has influenced the work that my office does in Career Connections. So students tend to thrive at Landmark. I think also what helps them thrive is a degree of scaffolding that not only the college and the faculty and the advising do, but our office as well. They are provided with a good degree of support, but that support is designed in a way that we are bringing them through, if you will, the trauma that they've had so far in their educational journey, and bringing them to a place where, as I mentioned, they're aware of their strengths and they're owning those strengths and practicing their advocacy. And the more confident they become, the more aware they become of their strengths and their diagnosis, the more we see them succeed in pursuing campus jobs or internship. I like to refer to it as sort of a momentum of success, that if we break it down into smaller pieces and they have a small success of getting a campus job and doing well in that job, that then they tend to want more. I want to go off campus. I want to do an internship with this organization that relates to my strengths and my interests. And then oftentimes I have been thrilled to see that once they've had that internship success and experience and the hands-on that really is beneficial for our population, then they want to do more internships and they want to think about their career in a deeper way from the data that they're gaining. So those are the students that thrive. Also, it's that whole cliche of just show up. You know, that they show up, they come to their appointments, they're eager to learn what the next steps are. Can you help me get my resume together? I know I need a LinkedIn. So when they're seeking our help and then they're getting the work done, they're the ones that tend to be on a wonderful success journey. I think the commonalities of our students are that they are eager to be accepted and honored and seen, because many of them, that hasn't been the case. They've been an outlier, or they've been told they can't when they really should have been told they're capable with correct supports. So the commonality are the students that are embracing the research and the diligence it takes to do a career search or to embark on an internship. And when they get that feedback from their performance in those job opportunities, it just has this beautiful spiral or ripple effect of wanting to do more. And as I said earlier, delve deeper into the opportunities and what their degree can be best used for in the working world.
When you see students struggle at Landmark, what are some of the common stumbling blocks?
We definitely see some students struggle. And a lot of what I experience in my work on a daily basis is the students who are struggling to find the right fit, that are trying to build the skills. Some of them are really aiming to build the social pragmatic skills. How do they navigate? If you think about the individuals on the spectrum, how do they interpret nonverbal clues, or what's the culture of the workplace? What are some things that a neurotypical candidate or worker might not have to be translating all day? That's where they struggle, is when they're not sure what's acceptable, why they did such and such thing and it wasn't acceptable. So they struggle. And then also the ones that are struggling with executive function, that they are completely capable of doing the job. They have the skills. They really want to grow and evolve. Yet those details, those schedules, those follow-up pieces get lost in the shuffle. And so they forget to email back somebody who was expecting a response. And maybe they forget to show up for their interview. And you can't say it's by no fault of their own, but there's an added element of executive function that can be a hindrance. So supporting and providing tools and scaffolding so that that barrier can be removed is what we do to help them access these opportunities that executive function can become a barrier to them experiencing.
What advice do you have for students who ultimately decide college really isn't for them?
As far as graduation, yes, we have seen that some students don't get to that point of being able to graduate, even with their associate's degree. And some of them, it's just the combination of all that's on their plate as far as academics and social pragmatics, being independent from their families. Some students are unclear of what they want to do. And even in the classroom, unclear of what classes they enjoy and what they want to learn or how to be successful, even with the supports that we're providing. They're just in a bit of a mire. And we coach those students, get support, additional support, or maybe you need to take a little hiatus away from the academic and get into the volunteer world or the work world in a supportive program. For some students, some of that confusion and overwhelmed feeling has to do with what they've been told they should be able to do or capable of being able to do, or the direction they should go, or maybe majority of their lives being told what to do and supported to a huge degree that they can't see the trees through the woods. They're trying to figure out what's truly them and what have they been told about. And that has to do some with their diagnosis, but some is that someone told them they should be a programmer and they have no interest in being a programmer, but they can't figure out why they didn't get the job in that realm. So we're doing a lot of treasure seeking, where are the skills, what are the strengths, but also helping to calm the voices and the influences and the distractions so they can truly see what they're capable of doing and their authentic self and authentic interests. There can be some pitfalls in this. Sometimes a student will really function well in the hands-on realm or in the working realm, campus job or different things in our community close by. But the academic just continue to be a struggle. Sometimes they'll have a situation where they're challenged to find friends or get to along with their roommate. In our college environment and some of the emotional development of our population, that stuff can be really blown out of proportion and take precedent over, you need to get to class, you need to get this assignment done, because it becomes all consuming versus a little distraction that the neurotypical population navigate. And sadly, mental health plays a huge part. If a student is struggling to navigate their anxiety and apply strategies to manage it and stay regulated, that can keep them from a job or keeping a job or even doing an interview. I've had numerous students that do all the research. They are gung-ho about the position and we've worked out the logistics, but it comes to the interview, and even after practice, which we always provide, an opportunity to practice and run through it, the anxiety takes them captive. So mental health management and learning strategy and de-escalation tactics are really essential. And sadly, the other thing I really struggle with is phone and screen addiction. That there's a lot of independence that the students have, and they cannot pull themselves away from a screen or gaming to get accurate, appropriate sleep. So their sleep hygiene is off. They cannot succeed in a workplace or even in a campus job because they can't put their phone down. And it's an addiction. That's something that I see as some of the most prevalent pitfalls right now.
Now let's talk about the work you do with students to help them prepare for life and work after college.
So as far as next steps after college and the daunting task of finding a job, what's next? I think what I observe often is the number of students that are navigating their way through college and the coursework and living independent. Sometimes that's all they can handle bandwidth-wise, that they just need to get through their program. And when I first started at Landmark, we would intervene a little bit later in their Landmark journey, and felt like, oh, let's just let them get their feet on the ground, and then we'll work with them about work experience and job search. However, we've determined that it's really important to intervene sooner. We are working on an initiative right now where we're going to make sure every student enrolled at Landmark has, just like they have a designated academic advisor, they're going to have a designated career counselor, because that early intervention, even in the midst of all their navigating with their courses, just to sprinkle in who we are, what we do, a workshop, meet and greet, so that they know this is available to them. And then encouraging, through the support of faculty and other staff and other departments, exposure to campus employment or resume, all those tools you need in order to get a job. So what I find is really effective when you're thinking about that next step is to, just like we do with all our other pieces, start that earlier. Start the scaffolding and expose those pieces sooner than later. And then the student at their pace can lead the charge, and we're there to resource them. But when it comes to the hour of, okay, I've graduated and now I need to embark on a job search, or I've conducted my job search to a small degree while enrolled, done some internships, and now it's time to get into the thick of it.
What advice do you have for students just starting the job search process?
My biggest encouragement would be to really be aware of the amount of time it's going to take, and to not have an unrealistic expectation that I see our students do, that the first resume you send out, that the first interview, that's, you're going to land it and you're going to have that job. It might look like the best fit for you, but you have no idea the number of candidates that you're up against. So it takes time. It takes practicing resilience. It takes perseverance, organizing, having the career counselor or family members help you keep it organized, because it can really get to be chaotic when you're reaching out to numerous places. But also really researching the fit. You're not going to find the ideal job. Sometimes this is really difficult for students. You're not going to find the ideal job when you first leave. Maybe you will. I have seen it once or twice in my 8 years. But more often, you're going to be delving into a realm that's similar to what you want to do, maybe in a different pay scale. But what's key is, what's the mission statement of that company? What's the culture? Because as a neurodivergent individual, if you are not aware of that, sadly, you're going to crash and burn. It might look like the best thing, and then you get in there, you're not getting the support you need, culture is not effective. So that research into the mission statement, even a visit to feel the environment and knowing it, and what's the other employees' feedback is really important. But I can't emphasize the degree of resilience and grit. I worked with a panel of students when we did a presentation in February, and they were actually graduated students, alumni, and out of the 8 of them, they talked about the degree of resilience that it took and the grit, but also however independent they became while at Landmark from their parents, they did accept their parents' help. And there was numerous success stories of students that had, one student I worked with that did numerous internships and was applying to several IT firms and resisting support and help. But then once finally he accepted the appropriate support from his family, he did land the job. But he learned what were the strategies, what were the techniques through the numerous applications he submitted. I have had a few instances where, and my apologies, parents out there, but where the parents were over involved to the point of impeding the process, that they were overdoing for their students, over involved with my office and my staff to the point where the energy put into the parent correspondences and the parent emails and meetings was taken away from their student. And I'm a parent, and I can be over involved, my son will tell you, and I'm learning that is doing our students no good. Now, can you come alongside and support as far as a checklist or contacts, or here's an opportunity I learned about, but ask the student, how involved do you want me to be? Check with the career counselor. I see anxious parents, I see nervous parents. I also see parents who have expectations that are just so pressurizing for their student that has to be worked out through a conference call. And they need to collaborate with other parents, connect with other parents that are in the same boat, or their graduate has gone through and been successful. I just had a student I worked with recently that was demonstrating the more I worked with him, the more capable he was. And when I was able to conference with the parents and encourage him to correspond with them, he on his own, after they had sent numerous jobs that he should apply to that weren't aligned with his skills, so very defeating, wasn't getting those jobs, but he on his own found a position that aligned with his skills, interviewed, and did a phenomenal presentation in PowerPoint, which I highly recommend if you're going to interview, come up with a PowerPoint presentation so you can watch that as you're interviewing and guide you visually. And he landed the position, and he is incredibly confident about his ability to succeed. So I respect the level of investment and how much you care about your son or daughter succeeding, but check in with the career counselor and with the student what degree of involvement is appropriate. And if they're not motivating, they're not activating, that's understandable. But come up with strategies with your career office, academic advisor, so that you can come alongside versus causing more stress and pressure. So I remember when I was meeting with this panel, when I was moderating a panel of alumni, that numerous times they were applying to roles and not getting them, and then this degree of rejection and not being good enough, or employers that wouldn't even get back to them. You know, their resume went into a black hole. And it was wonderful to hear how they encouraged the audience at that panel, but also encouraged themselves that it's normal. It's normal to be rejected. It's a tough job market. How do you find the support that you need, the communities that you need to encourage you in that heart-wrenching season of trying to find a job? I think the alumni community can offer a lot of solace and strategy and support where people are in a similar situation. Young professional networks are fantastic, to research those in your community where you can see the whole array. Somebody who's at the beginning of the job search, someone who's having lots of rejections, maybe as you are, and then someone who's landed the job and grateful for the amount of time that they put into it. And the parents, it's all individual. Some parents that can really be a frightening and daunting and discouraging experience, especially after the amount of expenses that went into the college. However, it's that time of critical thinking and creative thinking. What can we do to get the student involved in something that's accountable, rhythmical, a volunteer opportunity, or something that's not exactly in the realm of what they want to be doing, so that they're getting that confidence and they're getting that feedback and they're building that community while they're searching for a job. Rejection's going to happen. But again, are you looking at the mission statement of the company? Is it actually the right fit? Where are you searching? Are you using Indeed, or are you using We have numerous sites for neurodivergent friendly, inclusive companies. And are you courageous enough, or have you built a rapport enough with the hiring manager that they would give you constructive feedback? I had a student who kept applying to numerous jobs that weren't in his realm of skills, but he wanted to be at such and such company or a certain type of company. And that's where a lot of the rejection came. It was not aligning the skills with the job description. There's tools you can use on AI where you put your resume in and you put the job description in, and how do they match up? Or where's there a lack of equilibrium? So these little strategies, but in that time of rejection, really do some investigation, but also find something that builds your confidence that you can be doing in the meantime, and a community of people to support you during that time.
What are some of the variables you encourage candidates to consider when thinking about roles?
A few things to consider is, there's the rudimentary essential issue of, I need to find a job, I need to make income. But be aware when you're looking for the job and you're starting this process, what are the other influencing factors? What's the transportation needed to get to that job? What's the rent in that area if you're going to try and live in the vicinity of the office? How comfortable are you with the commute? And this might seem basic or rudimentary, but these factors are going to contribute to your job success, your level of stress. And if there's an opportunity to be getting confidence and experience and exposure to those areas while you're job searching, maybe it's navigating public transportation, getting your driver's license. Where are you financially? Even if you're not making a lot of income, what's your financial literacy? Because if you can tackle those and start to get some mastery and agency in those areas before you land the job, that's just going to make that transition all the more easier for you. And that transition, be aware that's a word that we're working with our students a lot, particularly for the neurodivergent population. Transitions can be hard, right? Get some practice with transitions and what strategies and tools and personal investments you need to make so that you can navigate those transitions, so that when you do get the job, stay optimistic. You have a lot to bring. You have a lot of assets to bring. You're a superpower as a neurodivergent individual. When you do get that job, that you have some exposure and a couple reps in public transportation or financial literacy, and community. What's your community of support? Because once you're in the job and you're doing that, those are harder to put in place if you haven't established that.
Big thanks to Jan Coplan and Landmark College. Please subscribe to Inclusive Academia.